Our world today is all about money and the power that comes with it. Without money, there's nothing. The whole poor and rich distinction is based on money and the resources and luxuries that money can buy. There are a lot of methods that experts have given to earn and increase money, but the one which is most effective and most talked about is investing. So as we all know, investing can be done in many aspects, but the most interesting and beneficial one is investigating your hard-earned money into real estate. To many people, the whole concept of investing needs to be more realistic and reliable. But if done right with guidance and knowledge, you can be a millionaire or even a billionaire in no time. And a real-life example of reaping maximum benefits from investing in real estate is a famous author and millionaire, Robert Kiyosaki. If you've read his best-selling book Rich Dad Poor Dad, you must know that Robert is very well versed in money management. He started his journey in the real estate industry after attending a 3-day class about real estate investment. In the 3-day class, the first thing he was told was, "Your life starts after this class ends." He was then instructed to find 100 properties worth investing in, write one-pagers on them, find one suitable property and buy it for zero money within 90 days. In his 3-day class, there were around 45 people, but when they heard about the assignment, most of them dropped out. Why? It's because to an average person, the assignment sounded ridiculously impossible. But for Robert, it was a welcome challenge. He has a very sensible saying, "Excuses like lack of time, having a family, and bills to pay are what keep a person poor." He saw the assignment as an achievable goal and started working towards it rather than deeming it impossible. It might have sounded difficult to the rest of the class, but Robert didn't take that as a discouragement and decided to pursue it. And as you all know, Robert made it work. Today, millions revered him for his financial advice and thoughtful tips about investment and other major world-changing topics. Besides him, only 3 other people were able to complete that task. After completing his 3-day course, he searched for 100 properties and wrote one-page reports on them. And after 90 days, he was supposed to find the one property that suited his requirements for his assignment. He did a lot of research on properties in his surrounding area that looked worth investing in. Finally, after a lot of research, he found what he was looking for in Hawaii. He explains that the difficulty arises not in finding the property, but in tracking and pinning down the current owner of the said property. He found out the owner's details and met him to discuss buying his property. But the property owner said that what Robert wanted to do wasn't possible in Hawaii. Hearing this disappointed Robert, but the owner saw this desperation and persistence. The owner directed him to another property in Maui. Robert was skeptical because Maui is considered one of the most expensive places to own or buy properties. He wondered how he would find a property in his price range. He found a 1-bedroom and bath condo for $1,800 in Kanapali, the richest place in the world. Robert was shocked to see such a low price, but then he realized that the property was selling for such a low cost because of the market crash. The property was right on the beach and required $2,000 to be put down to buy it. The advice he gives to his viewers and listeners is to always be aware of the market status. Market crashes are a good opportunity to buy properties for a lower rate than usual, so he used the one resource available to all: the bank. He went to the bank and took a loan of $6,000 to buy his $1,800 property. Now with $2,000 in cash at his disposal, he could buy his desired property with no problem. But since he had decided to buy the property with absolutely no money, he bought the property using his credit card, which meant he didn't use any of the cash he got from the bank and bought the property with absolutely no money. Many could consider this a bad debt because he was currently in a 100% debt situation, but he then explains that he did this because now he won't be paying off this debt, but the tenant renting out his property will be paying off his bank and credit card debt. He had made 100 deals in his 90 days, and with those deals, he learned that debt is bad. And once a person has that in mind and starts using the concept of equity, the interest rate isn't that high and there is an actual scope of profit. The assignment was based on an already existing property that had 144 units that spread around 10 acres and were filled up to 95% with tenants. Robert's deal with the bank was that he would build a second unit beside the first one on another 10 acres of land consisting of 256 units. With this, he got his loan from the bank sanctioned as a construction loan. So he built the second unit, filled the unit up with good management, and then went back to the bank to get another loan for refurbishing the unit he had built. So technically he built the unit on debt, paid off the debt with the money from the tenants, and then took on more debt to upgrade the place. His whole design was to use the benefits of bank financing. Robert didn't spend any money on his $1,800 property. The only costs he had to bear were the debt and the money he paid to the credit card company for paying with it. Robert is the perfect example of how a person can become a millionaire in no time with little skill and knowledge about the financial market. With Robert's amazing tactic, anyone can buy their desired property without actually putting a down payment for the same and earn a passive income without any hassles. Another stellar example was when he wanted to buy a ranch, but Kim, Robert's wife, said that a ranch does not generate any cash flow. So the only way Robert was able to convince Kim was by telling her he'd buy the ranch with absolutely no money. Kim agreed, and Robert set out to the far west to find a suitable ranch. Finally, he found the perfect property he wanted. He contacted the owner and asked how long the property had been up for sale. The owner said 10 years. When Robert asked him what the problem was, the owner said he didn't know. Robert tried to figure out the problem by himself and then realized that the sign put up for the ranch was only visible to some and made it inaccessible. Robert wanted to buy the ranch, and the owner told him he could buy it for $1,500. But he had promised Kim he would buy it for no money. So Robert told the owner that he would buy the ranch for no money, but pay him back in full within 1 year. The owner agreed because he was desperate to sell. So now Robert took the ranch and refurbished it into a beautiful cabin. He then sold the cabin for way more money than the actual cost of the ranch and the costs it took to refurbish it into the cabin. Just like this, learning about property investment and the real estate market can reap many benefits in the current world. So this was the story of how a man bought a house with no money, and we all have a lot to learn from it. Are you thinking of buying a new house? Would you use this method to purchase it? Drop your answers below in the comment section, and we'll be back with more interesting videos, so stay tuned.